In chapter 18, Surah Kahf of the Holy Quran, which is a very crucial chapter for Islamic practitioners, we get an insight on a very enigmatic king named Dhul Qarnayn. Dhul Qarnayn means he of two horns, and for millenniums now, it has been long disputed on the identity of Dhul Qarnayn. Many scholars say that Dhul Qarnayn is Alexander the Great, but this has been vehemently rejected by the Orthodox community due to the pagan nature of Alexander the Great. However, as a hermetic, spiritual, esoteric, and occult practitioner of the Abrahamic religions, I have no problem with believing that Dhul Qarnayn is Alexander the Great, as the story of Dhul Qarnayn completely lines up with a Syriac legend that surrounds Alexander the Great called the Alexander Romance. So, what are we going to be doing in today's video? In today's video, we will be further secreting the fact that yes, Dhul Qarnayn is Alexander the Great. We will be doing this utilizing numerology, gematria, and spirituality. So, without further ado, this will be the breakdown on showing that yes, Dhul Qarnayn is Alexander the Great. But before we get into that, as a brief disclaimer, this video is not for exoteric, orthodox, or fundamentalist practitioners of religion. It is reserved for spiritual, Gnostic, Hermetic, occult, and numerologist practitioners of the faith of Abraham. So, without further ado, let's get started. So, what numbers are we going to be utilizing in this breakdown to make it make sense? Well, simply we're going to be using verse numbers, gematria values of names like the Arabic gematria value of Dhul Qarnayn and the Greek gematria value of Alexandros, and we're also beginning using the base 2 binary system for certain breakdowns in the scriptures as well. Let's get started. So the first numbers we're going to be playing around with to get an answer are the verse number that first mentions Dhul Qarnayn, which is 83, and the age Alexander the Great died at, which is 32. So 83 plus 32 is 115, which as we know is one off from the total amount of chapters that are in the Holy Quran, which is 114. Meanwhile, 83 subtracted by 32 is 51. And 51 is in synchronicity with not just 115, with 15 being the reversal of 51, but if we were to take 8 and subtract it by 3, we get 5. And if we take 3 and subtract it by 2, we get 1. What does that leave us with? 51, right? Let's keep going. The total amount of verses that are in chapter 18, the chapter of Dhul Qarnayn, is 110. The difference between 83 and 32, as we know, is 51. So 110 added by 51 is 161. What is the relevance of the number 161? Well, how is it related to the previous decode? In 83 and 32, there are 2 like terms and 2 unlike terms. The like terms being 3 and the unlike terms being 8 and 2. If we multiply the unlike terms, 8 and 2, we get 16. And if we divide the like terms, 3 and 3, we get 161. 161 also comes into play with the golden ratio. The golden ratio is 1.618033, and in the Quran it tells us to prostrate facing the sacred mosque. The sacred mosque is located in Mecca, and Mecca is the golden ratio applied to the earth. Okay, so now we're going to be doing an alphanumeric breakdown of the Greek gematria and Arabic gematria values of their names. So Arabic gematria is called Abjad respectively, and Greek gematria is called the Isopsephi respectively. So Arabic Abjad value of Dhul Qarnayn is 1142. And the Greek Isopsephi version of Alexandros is 521. So 1142 subtracted by 521 equals 621. So we already noticed that that's a difference of 100 between 521. Here's the thing though. Where do we see the occurrence of 100 in this breakdown? Well, it's very simple. You see, 1142 subtracted by 521 times 2 equals 100. Another thing that's really interesting is that in this scenario, 521 and 621. Um, the outlier number in that scenario is the 6, correct? Because the 6 was a product of or not a product, but it was a difference of the 1142 and 521. So if we were to put the 6 in the binary code, it would give us the number 110, which is the total amount of verses in chapter 18. So you're probably wondering, what is binary code and why are we even utilizing it in the scripture? Well, that's very easy, and I will show you guys why I'm using it, and I will give you a demonstration on what binary code is. So, binary code or base 2 numbers is a counting system based off of ones and zeros only. Um, my best friend Cohen Gadol taught me this ancient counting code that is used today in computer programming. And it has fascinated me, and I have decided to adopt this practice into my numerological findings as of the reoccurrence of the number 110 in the scriptural breakdown. So, let's go down the first 9 integers of the binary code and stuff like that. And the reason why I'm going to be doing it to the first 9 only, and I'm going to be confining it to the first 9 only, is because Pythagoras believed that the numbers 1 to 9 were the only valid numbers on the scale. Not even 10 was the highest number on the scale, because Pythagoras believed that 10 was just a variation of 0. So, with that being said, I'll be showing you guys the first 9 uh, integers of the binary code. So 1 is obviously 1, 2 is 10, 3 is 11, 4 is 100, 5 is 101, 6 is 110, 7 is 111, 8 is 1000, and 9 is 1001. So, how will I be breaking down the scriptures using this form of counting? Well, it's very simple, you see. I will be doing the exact same thing I was doing with 83 and 32, but instead of base 10, I'll be doing a base 2. So, let's get into the breakdown, shall we? Let's do some algebra, as Muslims were the creators of algebra in the first place, right? So, let's say the algebraic expression of D equaled 83, which was, the verse number where Dhul Qarnayn was first mentioned, but in base 2 numbers. So, observe the following number above to see the base 2 number of 83. Then, let's have the algebraic expression of W, which is 32, which is Dhul Qarnayn's age where he passed away, 32, um, and have that be in base 2 numbers as well. Observe the bottom number, the number at the bottom. So, deducing this, if we take the algebraic expression D subtracted by W, given our values that we've given to it, we would get the number 910,011. This is a sound number in numerology as it connects with what we call a sequential number. Because look at it, 9, 10, 11, right? Another thing in it is that if you were to add the two into like a breaked up form, 9, 10 plus 11, you would get 921. There's that 21 symbolism again. We had 521 with Alexander, then we had 621, and now we have 921. If we take the number 9, as in the outlier 9 and 921, and turn it into a base 2 number, then subtract it by 6, the outlier 6 and 621, and subtract that by its base 2 number, we get the number 891. It only makes sense to subtract 921 with 891, which gives us the number 30. By the time Alexander the Great was 30, he had already conquered most of the known world and had created one of the most greatest speeches of all time at the Opus Mutiny. So, while I was decoding the scriptures a little bit more, I discovered that if I want to use 521, which is the Greek Aesop Cephi value of Alexandros, against 83 in base 2, which is the verse number and where Dhul Qarnayn is first mentioned, I need to reduce 521. Because if I use basic gematria for 521 in base 2 code, that would be a colossally huge number with like 0 value. So instead, what I'll be doing is I'll be doing 5 in base 2, 2 in base 2, and 1 in base 2, and putting it in a single string of number. And I will show you guys what that looks like in the second slide. But this type of gematria is called reduction. It is a form of alphanumerics, and you basically reduce the numbers instead of like doing the full integers of a number. So 521 becomes 521. So 5 plus 2 plus 1, essentially. That's what you do. It's a reduction of the numbers, pretty much. The number 521 in reduction is 101,101. The way I was able to deduce this was 5 is 101, 2 is 10, and 1 is 1. So that makes 101, 101. So now let's size that up against 83 base 2. So if J equals 83 base 2 and S equals 521 in reduction, the algebraic expression of the difference would look like this. And also, if we were to take the two numbers and split them in two and add them together, it will give us 1818. And 18 is the number chapter where Dhul Qarnayn appears in only. He only appears in chapter 18 of the Quran. Now let's move on to the final two decodes of the video. So on one side of the decode, we're going to be adding chapter 18 with verse 83 to make the number 101, which we know already is 5 in base 2 counting. So that on the other side of the decode, what we're going to be using is reduction once more. So we're going to be reducing the Aesop Cephi value of Alexandros, which is 521, and do 5 times 2 times 1, which gives us 10. Then we're going to convert 10 into base 2 counting. So the product of this is going to look like this. Then we're going to be utilizing obviously the famous 110 in this decode. So 1010, which is just 10 in base 2, subtracted by 110 is 900. And 900 divided by 5, which is the number that was prevalent in the other side of the decode when we added 18 and 83. If we divide it by 5, it gives us 180. 180 is really important in Abrahamic numerology, as not only is it another variation of 18, however, it is half of a circle, and also in Islam, the number 360, which is 180 times 2, is very, very, very integral. The 360 joints that Prophet Muhammad talked about, the 360 idols of the Kaaba, and in Sufism, the 360 latayifs. So now we're going to secrete this ceremony with one more decode that I'm going to keep open-ended. We're going to do reduction one more time. We're going to reduce the numbers of 521, and we're going to add them together. But we're going to add their base 2 forms. So we're going to add 5 in base 2, which is 101, 2 in base 2, which is 10, and then 1 in base 2, which is 1. That would give us a number 112. If we add 112 by the famous 110 that we've been using for the entire decode, we get the angel number 222. What could this mean? Why am I secreting and sealing this video with an angel number? If you guys want to know what I'm doing, and if you guys would like to discuss it, be sure to comment down below, like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I appreciate all of you guys for rocking out and showing love and support on the channel. It really means a lot to me. Thank you so much, guys. Please share the video if it has secreted and proved and sealed the ceremony of vindicating Alexander's name as Dhul Qarnayn. Thank you, guys. Peace.